If you've spent any real time thinking about clothes, chances are someone somewhere handed you a rule about what your body should and shouldn't wear. Maybe it came from a magazine you read as a teenager, maybe from a well-meaning relative, maybe from a salesperson who said it with so much confidence you never thought to question it. A lot of that advice was created decades ago for a completely different fashion landscape, and honestly, most of it was never really about helping you look your best. It was about making curvy bodies smaller looking and less visible. Today, we're going through 7 of those old rules, one at a time, and I'm going to walk through exactly why each one deserves to be retired for good. We've got 7 myths ahead. Some about color, some about pattern, some about proportion, one about necklines, and one about accessories. And by the end, you'll have a genuinely more current, more freeing way to think about getting dressed. Let's start with the one you've probably heard the most. Myth number 1, horizontal stripes are off limits. This might be the single most repeated style rule of the last 50 years, and it's simply not accurate. Stripe width, spacing, and where the stripes sit on the body all change how a pattern reads far more than the direction of the lines does. A wide horizontal stripe across a flowy top can look genuinely striking and current, especially when the rest of the outfit keeps things simple and lets the stripe do the talking. A narrow, tightly packed stripe on a stiff fabric can look busy, but that's a fabric and scale issue, not a horizontal versus vertical issue. The exact same narrow stripe in a soft, flowing knit reads completely differently. What actually matters isn't stripe direction at all. It's whether the fabric drapes well and whether the scale of the pattern feels intentional rather than accidental. Think about where the stripe sits, too. A horizontal stripe across the fullest part of a sleeve reads differently than the same stripe running across a hemline, simply because of how the eye follows a repeating line across different amounts of visible fabric. I think of a client I'll call Renata, who avoided every striped piece for years because of this exact rule. And the first time she tried on a wide striped linen shirt, she said it was the most relaxed she'd felt in a top all summer. Stripes were never the problem. The old rule just never got updated for how fabric and pattern actually behave. Myth number 2, stick to one color to look put together. This one probably came from a genuine styling principle. A well-executed monochrome look can absolutely look polished and elevated, but somewhere along the way it got twisted into an absolute rule, as if color combinations were something to fear rather than play with. In reality, a well-chosen 2 or 3 color palette, especially when the pieces share similar warmth or saturation, tends to look more intentional and elevated than an all-one color outfit, not less. Think a rust-colored blouse with olive trousers, or a cream sweater with a burgundy skirt, or navy paired with a soft camel. These pairings read as thoughtful and deliberate, not chaotic or overdone. The actual skill here was never about hiding inside one shade. It's about understanding which colors sit well together in terms of warmth, saturation, and contrast, and that's a completely learnable skill, not a body size restriction. Once you start noticing which color families naturally complement each other, mixing colors stops feeling risky and starts feeling like your best styling tool. Myth number 3, avoid busy patterns entirely. This myth usually gets justified with some version of "it'll be too much." But pattern scale and pattern placement matter far more than whether a print exists at all. A busy floral on a flowing, well-draping fabric can look wonderful and romantic, while a tiny, cramped print on a stiff, boxy fabric can look less flattering. And that's because of the fabric's movement, not the pattern's existence. Large-scale prints in particular often read as more elegant on a bigger canvas, since the eye can actually follow the design instead of it blurring into a single busy texture. If you genuinely love pattern, the fix was never to give it up entirely. It's paying attention to how the specific fabric behaves on your body and how the print's scale relates to the size of the garment piece itself. An oversized floral maxi dress and a tiny ditzy print blouse can both work beautifully. They just work through completely different mechanisms. Myth number 4, dark colors on the bottom, bright colors up top, always. This rule turned into such a rigid formula that people repeat it automatically, without ever asking whether it actually applies to the specific outfit in front of them. Color placement is a styling tool, not a law carved in stone. Sometimes a bold, saturated color on the bottom half paired with a simpler, quieter top creates a genuinely fresh current silhouette, especially with wide-leg trousers or a flowing skirt in a rich jewel tone. A cream blouse over a deep emerald wide-leg pant, for instance, feels current precisely because it breaks the old formula rather than following it, and it draws the eye down the whole line of the outfit rather than stopping it at the waist. The old formula isn't wrong exactly. It's just one option among several, useful in some outfits and unnecessary in others. But treating it as the only acceptable option limits your wardrobe far more than it actually helps you get dressed each morning. Myth number 5. Certain necklines are universally off limits. You'll hear this about crew necks, about turtlenecks, about certain deep V's, as if one neckline shape could be categorically wrong for an entire group of bodies rather than a matter of fit and personal proportion. Necklines interact with your particular torso length, your shoulder width, your personal preference, and the specific fabric the garment is made from. And none of that is predictable just from body size alone. A crew neck cut in a soft, semi-structured fabric can look completely different on the same person than a crew neck cut in a clingy, thin knit. And that difference has nothing to do with curves. It's entirely about fabric behavior and cut. The only reliable way to know if a neckline works for you is to try it on in the actual fabric it's made from, in a style you're drawn to, rather than ruling out an entire category based on a rule you heard secondhand and never actually tested on your own proportions. Myth number 6, accessories should be small and understated to avoid extra attention. This one has quietly pushed a lot of women away from jewelry, scarves, and bold bags they genuinely love, as if drawing the eye were something to apologize for. A substantial statement necklace or a bold pair of earrings doesn't need to be balanced out by staying small everywhere else in the outfit. In fact, a single confident accessory often does more for an outfit's overall sense of polish than 3 timid, matchy ones ever could. It gives the whole look a clear focal point instead of a scattered, uncertain feeling. I think of women like a client I'll call Denise, and honestly, so many of you write in with a version of the same story. She'd owned a collection of statement earrings for years and almost never wore them because of exactly this rule. The day she finally did, she said people complimented her more in that one outfit than in months of playing it safe. The lesson wasn't really about earrings, it was that smaller equals safer was never actually true. Myth number 7, certain silhouettes are only for certain body types. This is really the umbrella myth that all the others live under. The idea that a fixed set of garment shapes belongs to a fixed set of bodies, full stop, no exceptions. Fit and proportion absolutely matter. But that's a conversation about how one specific garment is cut, constructed, and sized for you personally, not a blanket rule that erases entire categories of clothing from your closet before you've even tried them. A wrap dress, a fitted blazer, a closer fitting silhouette, a boxy, oversized shape. Every one of these can work beautifully depending on the specific cut, the fabric weight, the way the garment is constructed, and how you choose to style it around your own proportions. None of them are reserved in advance for one particular body type. And the moment you stop treating silhouette as a locked category, your options open up considerably. So here's where that leaves us. Every one of these 7 rules got treated as if it were a fact about bodies, when really each one was just a narrow styling opinion from a very different era, repeated so many times it started to feel like established truth instead of outdated advice. Stripes, color combinations, pattern, color placement, necklines, accessories, and silhouette, none of these are locked to your size, and none of them were ever really about you specifically. What actually determines whether something works is fabric behavior, fit, proportion for that particular piece, and honestly, whether you genuinely like how you look and feel in it when you catch your reflection. The next time an old rule pops into your head while you're shopping, it's worth pausing to ask where that rule actually came from in the first place, and whether it still deserves a say in what ends up in your closet. Which of these 7 surprised you the most? Or which one are you most excited to finally let go of? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. And if this kind of honest, myth-busting style conversation is useful to you, go ahead and subscribe, because there's a lot more of this coming.